I'm Anya Coopers-McKinnon. Welcome to the programme. We begin in Ukraine, where officials say Russian forces have taken control of the country's second biggest power plant. British military intelligence says mercenaries from the Russian private military company Wagner had captured territory near the power plant in recent days. Ukraine's Soviet-era Vuhlehirsk power station is the latest loss in the eastern Donbas region. It comes as President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said Ukraine was preparing to increase its electricity exports to the European Union to help it withstand pressure from Russia over energy supplies. And DW's Matthias Berlinger is in Odessa covering this story for us. Good morning, Matthias. Can you give us the latest on the fighting?
Yeah, so we've heard that the Russians are seemingly in control of this power plant. This has been a target for the Russians for many weeks now, and a few days ago they had already captured part of the territory. Now one of the president's advisors has said that they're in full control of the facility. We still don't have a confirmation from the armed forces or from other sources, but it looks like that, and fits very much the pattern of what we've been seeing in the east. That Russia concentrates its offensive on one object and then for weeks and weeks shells it and then takes it. So Russia is making steady gains, but they are in themselves, each one in themselves, incremental. It takes a long time for them to capture any object or settlement, but so far they have added up, although we are also hearing that the pace is slowing down and that Ukraine has been able to repel quite a few offensives. In other parts of the country, that means northeast near Kharkiv and south in the Kherson region, Ukraine is making incremental gains. They have started a counteroffensive in the south, but there is no fast progress yet. It seems that we are still in the preparation phase of this counteroffensive, and Ukraine has not made big territorial gains, but they are, as they say themselves, advancing slowly.
So Russia's pace is slowing. Is it clear now that the newly provided weapons from the West are helping the Ukrainian counteroffensive to really build momentum?
What these weapons do at the moment is that they help Ukraine to prepare the terrain for the counteroffensive. So the most important ones are long-range artillery and multiple rocket launchers. These weapons can target targets well behind the Russian lines, and Ukraine has used them, for example, to take out ammunition depots. And they also shelled a bridge near Kherson region recently. That's an important target because this bridge is the only one that crosses the river in that area, and it's a major blow to Russian supply lines. So what we're seeing is that Ukraine is methodically preparing the ground for this offensive. It's not clear whether they have the means to move on because some categories of weapons that you would need to move on, for example, tanks, are not yet being delivered by the West in the same pace or in the necessary quantities. So there's a big question mark on whether this offensive can move on as planned, but what we are seeing is that they methodically prepare it. And the other effect of these weapons is, and this in the places like in the east, where Ukraine is currently, as far as we know, not preparing to advance, they slow down the Russian advance by taking out these ammunition depots. Ukraine has been able in some parts of the front line to decrease Russian shelling by multiple times.
Matthias Berlinger reporting from Odessa. Thank you so much. Now, the US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has said that he intends to speak with Russia's Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, to free US citizens being held by Russia. It would be their first direct talk since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Secretary Blinken said his priority would be to secure the release of US professional basketball player Brittany Griner and former Marine Paul Whelan. Now, Russia's attack on Ukraine has cost lives and destroyed infrastructure, but it's also battered the mental health of many Ukrainians. Psychologists are struggling to help adults and children deal with the impact. DW correspondent Nick Spicer visited the devastated town of Borodyanka and found that even reminders of historical violence can trigger new anxiety for shell-shocked Ukrainians.
During the occupation, somebody put a bullet hole through the head of Ukraine's national poet, Taras Shevchenko. Psychologist Tanya Sashko tells of a patient who walked past it with her son.
Children learn his poems beginning from the 1st grade till 11th grade. And the boy said, "Mama, look, what's this? Oh, it's a hole in his head." He shoot it and say, "Oh no, maybe they didn't know that Shevchenko is our national hero." The boy, it was his pain.
There are painful reminders everywhere, including right across the street from the market on Shevchenko Square.
Everybody in Borodyanka seems to know the story of this building. When Russian shelling started, people took shelter inside its basement, as they're supposed to do, but they were trapped by the rubble. For around a month, they cried out for food and water, and when people tried to bring it to them, snipers held them at bay.
So there are feelings of helplessness and a fear that the war is following you. When it started, this couple thought it would be over in days and never get close.
The shelling from the Russian multiple launch rocket system hit the playground where my wife and child were. She got fragments in her leg.
I was sent to the hospital in Zhytomyr, and then Zhytomyr was bombed. It was very difficult psychologically.
Difficult, too, for those who can't even express their fear with words yet.
My child is scared now. Even the words air alarm he understands, and he trembles. Any noise my son hears, he runs to me and starts hugging me.
Tanya takes me aboard what she calls the psychological brigade van.
We use this car for visiting to the small villages. They called us several times a day and explain about the problem, especially, it's a very difficult situation for mothers with many children when they don't have father, their father is a soldier, and go there and give support to people.
The Russians destroyed the building that used to house Tanya's community psychological support service. Now they're set up in a school. The biggest challenge, she says, is grief.
It's really difficult to find the words how to say that you should live again. But yes, we're trying to find, because they should live, because it will be the memory. With them will live the memory of those people, and so on and so forth. It's difficult, but we do this every day.
Outside the school, children wait for their parents. Tanya and the other psychologists say the big job is going to be helping kids make sense of what they have seen and heard and continue to see around them. Only then can healing in Borodyanka truly begin.